Alright, hey guys. I was going to stream some Total War, but changed my mind and I thought I'd do the 4th Q&A. And hopefully I remembered to put the little instruction before. If I did, isn't that cool? Not really, it kind of sucks, I know, but it's my old introduction from my other channel, and I thought I would necro that and put it back as the introduction to some of my videos here. The ones that I actually edit, which aren't too many, to be honest. But I thought I'd have a go, see what happens. And I'm going to start this first part just with me, nice and big on the screen in front of you, so you can really see me in all my horrific glory. And my keys. Sorry, they were falling out of my pocket. So you can see me in all my horrific glory in full HD. You're welcome. So we're going to start off with some basic questions that were not related to any of the games. And there were a couple, but there weren't too many. So let's just get through them first of all, starting with the question from Ook. Are your novels about Blood Bowl? I should give a bit of context here. I don't remember why, but it came up that I was a writer. And I used to be, is a more correct way of saying it. When I was in university, I used to actually run a website where people who were new to the world of publishing could publish their work on my website and I would publish them for free. They would give me their content for free. It was a mutual agreement between myself and authors, and I was of course one of the contributors as well. And during that time when the website was up, I actually published I think 5 of my own books, and one of them is still available online, but I don't like to give the link as much as possible because it's not a... Well, to be honest, I prefer to sell it than give it away for free if I'm going to give it for free to people. So if you do want to read my books, by all means get in contact with me and I can send you some of my material. But I don't like sending the guys who basically use my work and get paid for it but don't pay me because fuck them, basically. Sorry. But there is that. My books are not about Blood Bowl, no. I wouldn't write about Blood Bowl. I write in my own universes. I don't need somebody else's universe to write in. One of my main books, the one that has actually been taken mostly, is called Demons, and it is set in the modern world. It's an heroic fantasy, whatever. It's a heroic fantasy where basically it's the apocalypse, and somebody who is schizophrenic, turns out he actually isn't schizophrenic, and really he saw this coming for a long time, and he's basically the last bastion of defense against these people. I started writing it when I was 12 years old. I haven't actually really finished it, but a lot of it is available online. And I will maybe eventually finish it and then decide whether to publish it or not. If I publish it, then sure, I'll make the link public. Until then, I won't. So that's it on writing for now. And Chris J on the other. Do you play board games or are you bored by them? What's your favorite board game, if any? No, I'm not bored by board games. I use board games a lot in class, actually, which is where I am now, so I'm sorry if it's a little bit echoey. I know that my voice can be a bit echoey in this room. This also goes what I'm teaching, but in theory this room is good for acoustics, because we're supposed to talk in here. So there is that. I play board games in class a lot. Usually I make up my own, to be honest, or I change the idea of an actual board game, like Risk, Battleships, etc., and I make it so it's available for use in an English language room. I'm more interested in making RPGs, though, to be honest, where you make your own decision and you have to go through it. However, the question was if I play board games. There are times when I play with friends, of course, and if I'm playing with friends, then great. I don't really have any favorites. It kind of depends on the group I'm with. We had a lot of fun with the kind of mafia-type games recently, because it's something that I can be surprisingly good at, because people don't necessarily understand what I'm saying here, because most of the time I play with Russians. So I take a long time to say something, and it's actually much easier to bluff people than it would be if I was speaking in English, funnily enough, because people are just not willing to actually try and figure out what I mean. But yeah, there is that. In terms of board games I've enjoyed in the past, I was a big fan of Risk when I was younger, but it's way too long. Of course, I've played all of the majorly popular board games in my time, and I like a lot of board games, but you need to be in the right company. When I was a teenager, actually, I used to have a group where we would always play board games. There would be I think it was 3 times a week, we used to meet in my garage, and we'd play board games down there while my cats were running around and destroying everything. It was good times when my cats were teenagers, and one of my cats was still alive, who is now dead. So, yes, I do like board games. No, I'm not bored by them, but you need the correct group of people to play with. Okay then, lots of others actually. Again from Chris J, he said, you're a writer, can I read somewhere some of your work? Yes, I've actually sent you the introduction, Chris, and I forgot to send you more. Sorry, I'll get right on that. Fallen Glory's had some of my stuff as well, because he's asked me directly. If you ask me directly, I'll send you some of the unpublished work, but otherwise I'm not going to bother. So just keep that in mind. Lots of other questions from D-Man. Let's have a look then. Jeans, cargo shorts, or others? I always wear jeans. In Moscow, to be honest, it doesn't get hot enough to wear shorts, so I'm always wearing jeans. Favorite shirt material? Well, I wear shirts like this all the time. I prefer cotton, to be honest. It's easy to wash and it doesn't look awful when you wear it unironed. It kind of looks like it's the style you're going for, which is not necessarily a good thing, but it tends to work quite well. Ankle socks, no shows, long socks. Ankle socks, I guess. Are you a hat person? No. Wristwatch? No. I don't wear a watch either. There's a reason why I don't wear a watch though, I'll tell you. In my job, I need to be very careful about time, obviously, because I'm teaching a class and I need to be aware of what time it is at all times. That's a weird sentence. But yeah, I need to always be aware of the time. The issue is, when I'm wearing a watch and I do this, it looks like I'm trying to get the time to go forward. I actually have a clock. This is where I sit when I'm teaching, or stand where I'm teaching, mostly stand, but I'm in a small classroom. And there's a clock right there. So I can look at that anytime I want, just with a quick glance, and I'm done. So if somebody's talking, etc., then I can just do a quick time check. Nobody even notices that I've looked at the time. Whereas if I do this, or if I check my phone, for example, or a wristwatch, whatever, pocket watch, sorry, whatever, then it's obvious that's what I'm doing. So I don't wear a watch for that reason. No watch. Favorite brand of cat food, sorry. Well, Whiskas is a little bit too mainstream. Yeah. My actual cats, being honest for a second, I know you're asking because I'm a bloody cat, I know, meow. But to be honest, my cats only eat Whiskas, they won't eat anything else. So if you give them something else, they'll turn their nose up at it. So I guess Whiskas. I'm finding the same with cats here, actually. One of my colleagues always buys cat food for stray cats. And she always says that she gets better response for Whiskas, because Whiskas is here as well, of course. So, Whiskas. Favorite kitty litter? Anything that's fragrant. Do you prefer yarn or dead rats as a plaything? No, I guess dead rats. I like a good dead skaven. If I can, carry him on my shoulder and swing him around. Because, the expression is, there's not enough room to swing a cat. Try and swing a skaven instead. You'll have much more success. And I think that was it for other. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of editing magic. Ooh, and I'll be back in a second. Blood Bowl. I just want to say as well, I have this nice little frame around me now, and I have to thank Chris J for that, because as always, he's been fantastic with artwork, and he created this little box for me. He used my favorite color, and in theory it keeps me separate from the game behind me, so hopefully that's the case, but I'm using it a bit big at the moment, but that was a legitimate sentence. That's exactly what I wanted to say. Right, okay, so having a look at Blood Bowl, I'm going to go into Steam a little bit as well, because there's been some interesting questions recently that I want to tackle from Steam, as well as from you guys. I haven't been checking the advice recently, actually, so I apologize for that. To be honest, I'm not really in the mood to play Blood Bowl at the moment. I'm going to be honest. I'm a little bit on a downer from the game. That's why I'm not doing CCL today as well. But we'll see. I may come back to it soon. So, starting with Squiggy. Squiggy is the one who always comes back, and I love him for it. And he asked the question, if you could introduce a new secret weapon, what would it be, who would it be for, and why? I like the idea of bringing back the Chaos Seesaw, which was basically a way for non-throw teammate teams to throw teammates around. That's a bit of a tongue twister. Non-throw teammate teams to throw teammates around. Nice. Okay, so if I could introduce a new secret weapon. Alright. I would actually like to introduce I'm not going to say an elf, it'd be too overpowered on an elf, but I'd like to have something like the Goblin Bomber, but it's actually a wizard, and have the wizard on the pitch, and they have the ability to use a magical force that works like a bomb, that works like maybe a lightning strike as well, maybe not, that may be way too overpowered, but like a bomb, where, you know, it's got a good chance of scattering, got a good chance of hitting your own people, and especially one that can kind of move. I'd like to add this basically from the Warhammer universe into Blood Bowl. And it would be crazy, and it would be really disastrous, and I think it would be important to be able to disallow this from competitions. But for the simply fun part of Blood Bowl, I would love to see actual wizards on the pitch doing stupid things, and you know, you get a chance to really give a wizard a good ass whipping, so that would be fun. That would be maybe what I'd do with a new secret weapon. Failing that, I would actually quite like to see a kind of fake ball where you can, if you have the ability for passing to another opponent and there's an elf in front of you that's pretty good at intercepting, you can throw a fake ball that is actually spiked. And if the elf manages to intercept, then they automatically fumble it and they have to take an armor roll. They can just fall down, or they can get stunned, injured, dead, whatever. But at the same time, if you do actually manage the pass and your player catches it, then of course it backfires and the same thing happens to your own player. So that's something I'd like to see as well, just as a bit of fun. Sorry, I can't talk today. So that's secret weapon answers. Chris J, do you think a stunty team can ever make it into Golden League, and how? Yep, watch me. I'm going to put trees into Gold League. That's my goal now, long-term goal. The halfling team I've got, they're going into Gold, and I'm going to keep them going until the end. You know, I miss playing these stupid teams. I miss the Stumblers, because that's what I originally played Blood Bowl for. I played Blood Bowl for the stupid side of it. I didn't play it to be an incredibly serious player, but being a YouTuber and a caster, I kind of felt like I had to go that way. But you know what, that isn't actually me in this game at all. I'm really the pogo, bomb, chainsaw, fanatic guy, and all skeletons as a team is fantastically legitimate. Just watch me beat you with that team. And I like this kind of gameplay, but I'm not a big fan of playing so seriously anymore, and it's actually wearing me down a bit, so I'm going to go back to playing some crazy teams, I think, as opposed to playing correctly. So, and what else we got? Blood Bowl. D-Man, what is your favorite joke team? Okay, we'll stick with the joke team theory. I honestly did not preempt this question. Basically, any team that isn't normally considered competitive by the general consensus. I know, a bit vague. Any joke team is my favorite joke team. I actually like making teams specifically that are not made to be good. This is something that I lost track of, like I just said a minute ago, when I got really involved in Rebel Rugby League, etc. I got into a much more serious, no offense to you guys by the way, but I got into a much more serious platform, and I kind of went away from the silliness. I mean, I know how to play Blood Bowl properly, but I don't enjoy that so much. I enjoy having the crazy, insane, sometimes stupid team, like All Skinks, for example, and Hemlock. Hemlock's Heroes. God, I miss that team. They're so much fun. The actual already built-in non-legitimate teams, the Goblins, the Halflings, the Ogres especially. I mean, you've seen me playing the one Ogre team. That team is fantastic. And Mad Academy's Noble, so much fun. I'm really glad that I'm in Mad Academy, because they really embrace the stupidness that I really enjoy in this game. And I'd like to see a stunty league for certain, but maybe also, well, I'm just a big fan of completely nerfing a team, as my history on YouTube and my history in the game can show. Like, the last CCL team I played was the Pet Collectors. That was the last one before Kislev. I'm playing a proper team now, but when I think about it, I've never actually played a proper team in CCL for more than a couple of games. So I think I made a mistake by rejoining CCL with a serious team. I should go back in with a stupid team, because that's what it's all about. And getting not a good record by any stretch, but getting a good record for the awful thing that is the team. The pet collection, I can't remember exactly. Let's have a quick look, because I'm pretty sure they've only played in CCL. Let's have a check. Oh god, they're at the front. So, pet collection. They've only played the CCL, I'm pretty sure. Maybe not now, actually, looking at this. And they got 6 wins, 2 draws, and 11 losses. I mean, I've actually managed to beat 6, I guess, human opponents with this team. And they're basically a team of zombies. So, I like anything that's kind of a little bit silly. And I miss playing this team, actually. If anybody wants to give the pet collection a go, by the way, please let me know, because I would love to bring them back into play. Especially the Pombi, Gustav. He's something else. The idea of this team, I think this was my best idea I've ever had, actually. The idea of this team was that whatever piece this was before, so for example, Njefnor was a War Dancer, Morglum was a Black Orc, and Tibor was a Brisonian Blitzer, and Frankenstein was a White. When they level up, they'll level up with the skills that the previous piece had. So for example, if Njefnor rolls a double, the first thing he gets is Leap, and he'll have Block, and he'll build like a War Dancer. And I wanted a full team of zombies where they had just crazy skills. But I let that go in the end. But yeah, there's that team. So anything that's stupid, I love it. It's my favourite part of the level. Right, that looks like it for that. So let's just have a look at a couple of discussions in Steam, because I wanted to respond to a couple of them. I mean, I'm not going to respond to the AI cheats, etc., etc. That's responded to many, many times, and it's just not worth going over. One thing I will say, though, actually, about that, and I'm talking specifically to people that I know that are in the forums. Honestly, I don't believe that you play the AI when you're making these comments in response, because some of the things you say just don't make sense. And the AI is definitely a little bit better than it was. I'm not saying it's good, but it is better. And I will beat you 100% of the time, you will beat you 100% of the time, but still, it is definitely improving. And if you're new to the game, I can see it actually being a problem to play against. Now, when you say something like, for example, the AI can never score, etc., they very much can, and every single team. It's kind of a ridiculous comment. So, if you're going to debunk people who are saying things about the AI, make sure you actually play the AI first, because otherwise it's just a little bit sad, you know? Having said that, though, don't go into the comment section where it says exactly what I just said. It's just it's a shit show. Don't go there. But just, you know, if you are going to respond, then make sure that you actually have played the AI, because it's obvious to me that you haven't sometimes. The one I wanted to talk about was the chainsaw, and I want to talk about the goblin weapons in general. Sorry, it probably looked like I was frozen for a second. I have one of those faces, you know, when YouTube is doing the circular thing constantly and you're watching it. Yeah, anyway, sorry. So, where is my goblin team? Do I have a goblin team? I don't know. Maybe I don't. Oh, there we are. So, the chainsaw. The question is the chainsaw overpowered? The answer is no. No, it's not. There are some games where it has a really fantastic game where it manages to get rid of 2 or 3 pieces before it eventually gets rid of itself. But to be honest, he's not just as likely, but he's very, very likely to knock himself out. Don't worry about another piece. So he's not overpowered, and he doesn't have dodge. He doesn't have block. Some of the star players do, I realize, but I mean he's not good. No. He's useful, and as a psychological tool, he's very useful. But overall, no, he's not that good. And he eats your blitz, which is sometimes a problem, or he eats your foul, one or the other. If you foul with him, he's probably going to get rid of a couple of your bribes. And fouling with him is, of course, a legitimate strategy. It makes a lot of sense. Though, well, I don't know. I find the Fanatic is probably the best of the 3 weapons, but it's just too unpredictable. And the Bombardier, it doesn't work very well, but it's a lot of fun. The Looney is the only one of the 3 that I think is actually a legitimate strategic piece, where, you know, you put it on pieces that have low AV, and you try and remove them from the pitch. And if you don't do it with a block, then you do it with a foul. And it can potentially get rid of 2, maybe 3 if you're lucky pieces. Chances are, though, it's going to knock itself out before it does any damage. So no, it's not overpowered. Not by any stretch. I believe, personally. And there was one more, I think, though I don't remember what it was, so I guess I'm going to leave it alone. Yes, it also relates to goblins, funnily enough, because goblins. This idea that goblins and all stunty teams in general can't be competitive. The issue I see when people go into a long detail about this is that they're trying to play goblins, ogres, halflings like a tier 1 team. And if you're doing that, of course, they're never going to be competitive. No way. If you're trying to play them like a proper team, like a bash team or even an agility team, even a hybrid team, they're never going to win. But if you really embrace the madness of these teams and you start throwing them about and you really use, especially the Noblar sidestep, I mean, the Noblars can really be a really legitimate score for it. I found this when I've been playing the one ogre Noblar build, where, you know, every time you don't put a Noblar down, I can move the Noblar closer to your touchdown zone. And it's a really legitimately scary strategic play if you're really struggling to put the Noblar down, and it forces people to score early. So they have a very strong psychological effect, actually. And the ogres themselves do have the ability to do some damage, but I would never say that you can legitimately win with ogres if you're trying to play a control game or if you're trying to play a bash game. So that's all I have for Blood Bowl, I guess. So I'll do a little bit more magical editing. I forgot a Blood Bowl question, never mind. So I'm back with different kind of magic. How funny is that? I should stop saying bye, really. Right, my other question was related to my own personal league, the AD English Invitational. And I've had a couple of new coaches come and ask me if they can take part in the league. And I just want to say a couple of things about that. Yes, of course you can. You're welcome to join the league. You're welcome to take part. But you have to keep in mind that this league is not a place to help new coaches. I'm not saying that you won't get help if you want that. If you want that, that's the important thing. But nobody's under the obligation to help you in this league. It is a competitive league. We're all friends, and we're all friendly. I wouldn't say we're all friends, and we're all, you know, having a laugh. But nobody's under any obligation to help you with the game. If they want to, they can, but it's not what the league is for. So just keep that in mind. And you are expected to play every game, even if it's going against you. You are going to be playing seasoned veteran players. They're all, you know, they all have many hours in the game, so you may potentially be slightly outmatched by these guys, and that can lead to losing games. And if you are willing to accept these two things coming into the league, and you're willing to be cordial and friendly, I welcome you with open arms, and I look forward to playing you. So, by all means, join the league. See you soon. Alright, I'm just going to put Tyrion frozen in the background because, you know, he's awesome with his wings on his helmet. So, on to Total War. I'm going to be talking about Total War 1 and 2 in this segment, of course, and I'm also going to go back to Steam a little bit because I'm a bit lacking on questions this time round. I realized that doing, you know, one of these every week was way too much, so I'm going to do maybe one every 2.5 weeks, something like that. I don't know. I'll do them when I feel like doing them, basically. By all means, keep asking questions, but they won't be on any kind of regular schedule. Anyway, questions for Total War. Let's go back to the top. Starting with Squiggy. Pooh. That was Boo, not Pooh. Sorry. Why do some units feel completely worthless in auto battles? Goblins, for example. If you played out the battle, then simply swarming cheap expendable goblins can be massively effective, but in an automated fight, they count for almost literally nothing, and even with an obscene number of advantage, you're pretty much guaranteed to lose. The main reason I think is related to morale and the core unit versus non-core unit, basically. So if you have an army of cheap, weak, low morale core units, the AI will assume that these guys cannot fight. And to be honest, if you give them to somebody who doesn't really know what they're doing, they can't. I mean, if, for example, you have a hell cannon and you're facing an army of goblins, if the army of goblins stands still, after 4 or 5 blasts, the whole army is gone. So, just because the morale is depleted completely. And I think this is partly why. Though, to be honest, in the second Total War, I think they've balanced this a little bit more. When you see that you are heavily an underdog, try fighting the battle and see if you can actually hold out. You'll be surprised how quickly your units that aren't really that bad will quickly turn tail and run. This happened to me last time I was playing the Lizards, actually. I was playing the garrison against a huge Skaven army, and they're mostly slaves. And I mean, theoretically, the Lizardmen are much, much better than the Skaven slaves. But what I found was that just the sheer number scared the crap out of the Lizards, so they broke pretty quickly, only causing, I don't know, 50 kills and losing 6, but it was still a decisive victory for the Skaven, you know, because that's how it works for some reason. So there are times where it is just a little bit silly, but at the same time, I don't know. I mean, the thing that's always annoyed me in this game actually is related to garrisons, especially that garrisons break. I mean, they've got nowhere to break to. If you're fighting a city battle or a town battle, whatever, if you're fighting a garrison, I just wish that the garrison would actually stay until the last man, you know, because they've got nowhere to run to. They're going to die anyway, so may as well fight it out, or at least surrender as opposed to running away. It's just something I don't like. But yeah, the AI choice of who's going to win is sometimes a little bit skewed. I don't know the exact reason, but it's been discussed many times in Steam. I don't, honestly, I don't care. I don't auto-resolve that often, so it's not such a big deal to me, personally. But oh well. Moving on. From Grey Fox, who I played multiplayer yesterday, by the way, and had a hell of a lot of fun. I played over Zara the day before as well, also a lot of fun. It was nice seeing actually how it works, and it was my first multiplayer experience, and I enjoyed it a lot. I'm maybe going to play Full Glory after this as well. He's actually just asked me if he wants to play, if I want to play, sorry. So we'll have a look in a minute. So, Grey Fox, why do you such a sword-heavy composition? Spearmen, shields, or halberds hold the line better and don't suffer from cavalry charges as much as swords do. He was talking in relation to my Empire campaign, and in general, I don't use a very strong sword composition, but early on in the Empire campaign, you're not facing big units, you're not facing cavalry, generally speaking, you're facing other infantry, mostly spearmen. And the swordsmen will beat the spearmen on the field, generally speaking, so that's exactly why I have them. They are useful when the beasts finally come, when the orcs finally come, etc., and they have trolls, they have minotaurs, etc., that you have to stop. Then the halberdiers and the spearmen become useful. But until then, they're just not. And it's much more useful having the shield on the swords than the spearmen without, because the spearmen without shields will just get eaten up by archers. Though, having said that, I have found in elf factions, for example, that the swordsmen are pretty much useless unless they're an elite unit. Like the dark swords, I can't remember what they're called, but the swordsmen in the Dark Elf army are nothing compared to the spearmen in the Dark Elf army. They're much better at holding the line. So I agree with you in that regard, though the Dark Elf spearmen don't actually have a charge bonus. So, charge defense bonus, I mean. So it's hard to say. Okay, from Chris J, Total War Warhammer and Warhammer Universe in general. Can you suggest a way I could get to know it better? Books, games, other sources. I've tried to look for some novels, but there are just so many of them that I don't know where to start. Sorry if someone has asked something similar before, because I vaguely remember you talking about it. Please don't say Google it. Alright. Well, starting off by playing the game is good, because the game is actually pretty good at showing the lore, and also reading the information about the officers, etc. It does give you an introduction to the characters, it does give you an introduction to their motives and their basic overarching story. From there, to be honest, the thing I would most recommend is there's a Steam forum in the Total War Steam page where there is a guy actually answering questions about lore, so you can find out a lot there actually. Googling it is an option, but it's a bit boring, I agree. Reading the rulebook is also a lot of fun, there's a lot of lore in there. Reading White Dwarf is a good idea, there's lots of lore that comes up in there. The last White Dwarf I read had a whole thing about Khorne and Khorne followers, and it was fantastic to read. It was really interesting. Though if you're looking for something to watch, if you don't want to read, then I would suggest Surreal Beliefs. He's somebody that I don't advertise on my channel because he's so huge, basically, and I don't think he needs the advertising. But I do respect his content. I am subscribed to him, so you can find him via my YouTube channel. And he often talks about lore when he's playing the game, so it's worth watching Surreal Beliefs. Maybe also Party Elite. He's also quite good at the lore side of it, but he's more interested in the game mechanics than the lore, whereas Surreal Beliefs is more on the lore side than the mechanics. So I'd recommend watching both of them, actually. And Party Elite is registered on my channel. I've also added a tabletop group to the content creators who I used to watch. I don't have a lot of time to watch them anymore, because it was always nice watching the tabletop battles, and they always had this thing where they were really in the character of the armies they were playing. It's quite nice to watch them because they often do lore things as well. That's for all Games Workshop based games, not just Warhammer, not just Blood Bowl, everything. So miniwargaming.com is what they're called, I think. So check them out as well. Was there anything else to Total War, I think? Yeah, I had a comment on YouTube recently. Why not Legendary mode? There are three main reasons why I don't play Total War on Legendary mode, or even very hard mode for that matter. First reason is that the AI cheats a little bit too much in Legendary mode. And I know that the AI cheats, but they really do. They get given certain buffs that are just ridiculous on Legendary mode. I've played it. Second of all, I'm not good enough, honestly, to play the game on Legendary mode. I would get my ass handed to me every single time by the AI on Legendary mode. And the third thing is that basically the battles get so freaking huge, I don't think that my computer could actually handle it. That's why not Legendary mode. Alright then. There are a few things I want to talk about in the Steam forums. I actually posted the question myself and I got an answer today, so I wanted to talk about that. The Mortal Empires update, which is coming out on the 26th, in 3 days, on Thursday. 3 days time recording, I don't know what time I'll upload this, to be honest. It's only for Total War Warhammer 2. It isn't crossed between Total War 1 and 2. So if you are somebody who only has Total War, you can't actually face a Total War 2 player when they're using Skaven, Lizards, etc. What that means is that the competition that I have planned, which is still going to go ahead, we're going to have to change the format a little bit. So what I'm going to do instead, because there's only 7 people involved anyway, anybody who does have Total War Warhammer 2 can take a Total War Warhammer 1 faction and also a Total War Warhammer 2 faction. And we'll have a Total War Warhammer 1 and Total War Warhammer 2 separate and see how that works out, basically. So that'll be what we'll do there. Also, Blissful Fire and I are going to do, well, we've talked about it, we haven't said the details yet, but we're going to do a joint stream of a co-campaign on Mortal Empires. He's going to start, or I'm going to start in the New World, and the other one is going to start in the Old World, and we'll try and complete the campaign together. We'll see how that works, and have a look at the game through the eyes of us two streamers. I guess the idea will be that we'll both stream together, or we'll both stream separately, I don't know, but yeah, that's coming soon, so we'll be having a look at that. I also wanted to address this thing that keeps coming up, that Total War is way too overpriced. And I understand the idea, but at the end of the day, the amount of hours that we put into these games, even though, yes, they're slightly more money-grabbing than Cyanide, they're slightly more money-grabbing than other companies, but it's becoming the norm, and if you just consider how many hours joy we get out of these games, it's not actually that much to pay. If you want to keep getting relatively decent games brought out relatively quickly with a lot of content, then you need to support developers, basically. It's the same as the music argument, where, you know, I don't want to pay for music. I can watch it online. I can download it for free. Yes, you can, but you're fucking over the developer, so don't. All right. Okay, the Mordheim section is going to be a little bit short, but there are a few things that I wanted to address. And the first question is the most important question. Why do I have a Q&A section when I'm not playing Mordheim? Good question. I want to start playing Mordheim, but I haven't started yet, but I will. I want to add it to the repertoire of games that I play regularly, so I may start doing that soon. I'm going to try and get a couple of games in with Urban Zorro. Quite likes this game. Maybe a couple other guys. You guys who actually enjoy this game, let me know if you do, and we'll have a couple of skirmishes and see how it goes. I don't want to just play the AI because it's boring, so I prefer to play you guys. And I am going to start a competition. I just want to get the Total War one and the second Blood Bowl one down first of all. The mixed league, by the way, which I didn't mention earlier, it's still open. We've only got 4 coaches, which is a little bit of a surprise. I'd like to get a couple more, so if you are interested in taking part in the mixed league, come join us. I now understand why it's not a thing in most leagues, because most people don't want to play it, obviously. But if you do want to take part, then come have a look. You're welcome to join us. I also want to address just quickly what I just said about the music industry. You don't necessarily have to buy CDs and albums, by the way, in the same way that you don't necessarily have to buy DLC. I'm not saying that you should just to support somebody, but if you can actually use content that they create through their own platforms, that's much better than stealing from them, basically. And I mean, complaining about the price of games is just not worth it, because a lot of people are willing to pay for them, so there's not much point in arguing about it at the moment. Right then, Mordheim. There weren't too many questions, but there were a couple. Let's have a look. Squiggy again. Okay, would be a better tabletop pen and paper RPG than it is a squad-based combat game. Discuss. Mordheim in general, yes, but I do like the Mordheim City of the Damned idea. I think the game as it is created, definitely more interesting, yes. And you can play it on Tabletop Simulator, for example. There's a pretty good mod for that, and Urban Zorro is actually running a competition, if you are interested in taking part, where they play the actual rules but on Tabletop Simulator. He has asked me in private if he can advertise on my channel, Urban Zorro. I'm doing it right now. So whenever you want to put the rules out, whenever you want to put the sign up out, go for it. I'll create a channel just for you, potentially, as part of the channel just for you. Just let me know you want to do it, and we'll get that done. So yes, tabletop pen and paper idea is maybe better. Not better, different. I'm going to stick with different. I enjoy this game. A lot of people don't enjoy this game, which is sad, actually. The major downfall with this game is, of course, the lack of races, and also, well, the waiting time when somebody else is playing is kind of silly. You're just looking at the back of one of your characters while spinning the camera around. It's really stupid. I mean, there are some of the UI decisions were not very good, and it's really difficult to get into the game, unfortunately. But when you do get used to it, it's quite an interesting tactical game, and it's nice to have. I'm in support of anything that is from the Games Workshop universe, basically, just because the universe is great, and it's nice to see games being developed and games being played based on the universe. Though dropping orcs from the roster, that was just crazy. Don't know what they were thinking there. Alright, so that's kind of 2 of the questions about Mordheim. And the other thing I want to mention is that, I just want to say it one more time, I do actually want to start a competition for Mordheim. I'm hoping to get at least 6 people involved so we can have one of each race, but I will go for 12 if we can get that many. So if you are interested in taking part in City of the Damned, even if you want to learn from us how to play it properly, then that's great. Just we'll have the first one as a kind of learning session. It'll be fun. I know that Fallen Glory's had a go, for example. I've played him in the past. Urban Zorro is quite big on the game. There are a couple others who play. I think Undo plays it. Someone's just decided to drill into the wall at the exact time I was talking, so sorry about that. And a couple of others from ICBBL, definitely. Maybe some guys from Rebel that I don't know about, maybe some guys from Mad Academy that I don't know about, whatever. But if you guys do want to get involved in that, that would be great. I'd love to see you get involved. And I think that's it for Mordheim. I'm just going to have a quick look at Steam when I'm live here in front of you. Well, not live, but I'm recording live. I'm not cutting what I'm saying. I probably should, because I've said some stupid things in this one, but whatever. So, no, there's not a lot going on in the Steam forum. Alright then. So that's all I have to say about Mordheim, basically, which isn't a lot. So I'm going to end this Q&A here. If you want to be part of the next Q&A, if you want to ask me some questions, then by all means comment below. That's an option. The second option, of course, is to comment on my Discord channel. There is a page dedicated specifically to Q&A. And you can ask me about any of the free games that I feature. You can ask me about other games if you want to. I play quite a few games. I used to play quite a few games. I don't play quite a few games now. Gaming has become a kind of second job at times now. I don't actually get a lot of time to sit down and play a game myself anymore. But, you know, sometimes I just like to fly in Flight Simulator, for example, and I don't have a lot of time to do that at the moment, which is a little bit sad. Maybe one day I'll stream it, just because, you know, sometimes I get tired of Blood Bowl and I just want to do something else. Total War is something that is definitely helping with that, but in general, I want to branch out a bit more, so maybe I will. And anything you want to ask me about anything, tell me, and I'll respond in the next Q&A. That'll be all for this one though. Thank you very much for watching if you have got through all of this so far, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.